Good day everyone. Today I'm going to discuss to you the continuation of integration testing and also the levels of testing as well. The second type of integration testing is the top-down testing. As you can see, this is the structure of top-down testing where integration takes place goes downward. The top-down testing uses top-down testing approach. The top level of application is tested first and then it goes downward until it reaches the final component of the system. Top-down approach needs design and implementation of stubs since integration goes downward to the individual units. Drivers may not be required since units and modules are rarely tested alone before their integration, and it uses agile approach especially when application needs users communication. There are several advantages of top-down approach. First, feasibility of an entire program can be determined since communication of the user takes place. Thereby, the feasibility of an entire program can be determined. And also, it can detect major flaws in system design. Lastly, many times top-down approach does not need drivers. However, top-down approach has disadvantages also. First, units and modules are rarely tested alone before their integration. This may be few problems in individual units modules, which may get compensated or camouflaged in testing. The compensating defects cannot be found in such integration. Top-down testing can also create false belief from the customer, since the system you made first is just a prototype and merely not an actual system. The stubs are to be written and tested before they can be used in integration testing, which consumes a lot of time before integration takes place. The third type of integration testing is modified top-down approach. This is the structure of modified top-down approach, where integration takes place in both extreme ends. Modified top-down approach tries to combine the better parts of both top-down and bottom-up approach, and it uses modified top-down approach since mostly integration takes place goes downward. Development and testing starts at two extreme ends at a time. Definition of critical unit module for bottom-up testing are main challenge, so better understanding of your project is a must. There are several advantages of modified top-down approach. First, important units are tested individually. Modified top-down approach is better in terms of residual defects. It saves time as not all components are tested individually. However, modified top-down approach has disadvantages as well. First, stubs and drivers are required. Second, definition of critical unit is very important. The fourth type of integration testing is Big Bang testing. Big Bang testing tested completely after the development of system is over. It includes huge amount of random testing that may not be repeatable. There are several advantages of Big Bang testing. First, it gives a feeling that expenses can be saved. Validation of development process and not a product validation. Third, no stub or driver is required in this approach, so it saves a lot of time. Big Bang approach is very fast. However, Big Bang approach has also disadvantages. First, problems found are difficult to debug. Second, difficult to say that systems are working correctly and will work in all cases. Location of defects may not be found easily. Next, interface faults may not be distinguishable from other defects. And lastly, testers conduct testing based on few test cases by heuristic approach and certify whether the system works or does not work. The fifth type of integration testing is sandwich testing. As As you can see, this is the structure of sandwich testing, where integration takes place somewhere in the middle of the system. It combines the advantages of bottom-up testing and top-down testing at a time. Top-down testing starts from middle layer and goes downward, and bottom-up testing starts from middle layer and goes upwards. There are several advantages of sandwich testing. First, it is useful for every large project having several sub-projects. Second, both top-down and bottom-up approach starts at a time as per development schedule. Third, it needs more resources and big teams for performing both methods of testing. However, sandwich testing also has disadvantages. It represents very high cost of testing as lot of testing is done. It cannot be used in smaller systems with huge interdependence between different modules. Different skill sets are required for testers at a different levels as modules are separate systems handling separate domains. Critical path first, where testing defines the critical part of the system which must be covered first. Also called skeleton development and testing. Critical path first is generally used where complete system testing is impossible and systems are so large that complete testing may not be economical. Subsystem testing. It involves collection of units, submodules, and modules which have been integrated to form subsystem. It is also called integration of interface testing. System testing. It represents the final testing done on a system before it is delivered to the customer. There are two stages of system testing. First, functional testing, and second is user interface testing. Testing stages. First is the unit testing, where individual units are tested. And second, the module testing, where the integrated units are tested. Third is subsystem testing, where the subsystem of each system are tested. And lastly, system testing, where as a whole, the system is tested. And acceptance testing is where the project is introduced to the customer whether it is acceptable or not. Thank you for listening, guys. I hope you learned from my lesson.